Well, what up, gang? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you on Wednesday afternoon. Hope your hump day is going well so far. I think I've got some pretty good news to deliver to you today. You ready for some good news? I'm ready to tell you about some good news. Anyway, before we get into good news, if you're new around here, consider staying true around here. Subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel. Click that little button right down there to subscribe. Boom, boom, boom. Also, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy the content over here. Boom, boom, boom. That don't cost you a dime, and it helps me out a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you in advance. So, I was going to make a video talking about the new hires and the additions to the South Carolina Gamecock staff, of which 2 were announced today. However, some even bigger news, which it's bigger news, I guess, in the moment, also kind of came to light, and I want to share that as well. I want to talk about these coaching hires real quick. Running back position has been filled. Stan Drayton looks to be the guy, coming over from Penn State, where he spent the last couple of seasons. Prior to that, he was a head coach at Temple for 3 years. Didn't work out there. The head coach position at Temple doesn't work out for a lot of people. That's a tough job in a tough market. But this guy has been all over coaching running backs. He spent 3 years in the NFL. Don't panic. That doesn't mean he's an NFL guy like Mike Shula or something. Everything else was in college. Yeah, he started his career back in 1993 at Allegheny College, which is where he played at. That's in Pennsylvania, as a graduate assistant. That was way back when Carolina Jackpot was still in high school. So that's been a long time ago. This guy's a little bit of an older, more mature coach, so that's a good thing. But not so old that he's not going to be able to connect to the players. I don't know what kind of recruiter he is. I'll find out, and we'll talk more about that as I get to know more about him. But he's had multiple stints at different schools throughout the years and seems to have done pretty well wherever he's been at. He's coached a lot of really good running backs, some names. He was with Ohio State back in the early 2010s there, back when they had the likes of Carlos Hyde, and he was when he was with the NFL, he was with the Chicago Bears. So this guy he's been around, a lot of experience there. Glad to have this guy on the staff. Once again, as a recruiter, I don't know. I don't know anything about that as far as in terms of him. But if he recruits one kid and brings him here, he's done more than what Marquell Blackwell did in his 2 years as a Gamecock. So with that one being wrapped up, the offensive line coaching position looks to be getting filled by one Randy Clemons, who is coming over from TCU. He was on Kendall Briles' staff there as the assistant offensive line coach. Don't get it twisted, though. It doesn't mean that he's never had a Power 4 head offensive line coach position before. Just prior to that, he was at North Carolina in 2024. That group had about 192 yards a game rushing. He's another one who's been in coaching since 1986. So he's had multiple stops at different schools, had a lot of success as well. He was at Baylor for a while. I know UNC was in the mix. I think maybe he's been at Florida State. I'm not totally 100% sure on that, but we'll talk more about him when we learn a little bit more about him as well. Both these hires just kind of announced today, so I didn't have time to do a real deep dive into them. All I was deep diving into was support skins and honey barbecue Utz tater chips today. On my way back to the warehouse to get some more for tomorrow. So that's the deal with that guy. 19 sacks last year, given up by the TCU offensive line unit, which was less than half of what Carolina gave up. Gave up a gaudy 43 sacks on the year last year. It's absolutely putrid. The offensive line has been a problem for years. It's been a problem every year that Shane Beamer's been there. In all honesty, it was a problem even before he got there. but we're not saying, well, that's not on him, because it's definitely on him. He should have had this fixed a long time ago. Lonnie Teasley should have been gone years ago. But so it's not the case. So this guy is going to be the new offensive line coach now. You say, well, what about Sean Elliott? Well, what about Sean Elliott? Looks like he's going to move back to coach the tight ends, which is what he was doing before he took over with the offensive line this year. That unit, it got a lot better under him, a lot better, especially in terms of discipline. Maybe not so much necessarily the number of sacks that it gave up. But we were able to start moving the ball a little bit better, it seemed like, on the ground under Elliott. And the pre-snap penalties virtually went away for several games there. And if you'll remember, under Lonnie Teasley, I mean, these guys were jumping off sides more than they were staying on sides. So, I mean, we were losing 100 yards a game in penalties from the offense. It's just absolutely sickening. So that immediately improved. If they'd chosen to keep him as the offensive line coach, I wouldn't have minded it. But I do think it's a good thing that they're kind of getting some new blood in here, and we're seeing some new faces. And offensive line coach is a very important position. You all know that. It's probably you can argue your wide receivers coach, but as far as position group coaches on your offense, I think it's the number one position group coach. So you'll see a lot of offensive coordinators who coach the quarterbacks, and that's what Briles plans on doing here in Columbia. But I'm excited about this hire. I think it's a good one. It looks like Shane Beamer's gone with some older coaches, not necessarily long in the tooth coaches, but some guys who have a lot of experience and have been around a while and have multiple stops here. Another TCU guy, I'm wondering, were these hires made by Beamer or were they made by Jeremiah Donati? I mean, I think he probably had a whole heck of a lot to do with that. And I also think what I'm going to talk about next had a whole heck of a lot to do with Kendall Briles getting hired here too, and that's one LaNorris Sellers. Now, don't take this as 100%. You can go scripted in a tablet somewhere that it's going to happen. But from what I've read, and this is from connected sources within the program, is that he does plan on returning to South Carolina in 2026, and that he doesn't want to transfer anywhere. Obviously, he's not ready for the NFL yet. Many thought that he was after the season he put up last year. And I don't want to say that it was a bunch of fool's gold, but we saw a lot of struggles from him, especially given the kind of protection that he had. That was most of his problems. And I think that started to cause him some mental issues as well with the game. So I think that Kendall Briles coming in as the OC is going to be a good thing for him. It's a quarterback-friendly system that he runs, quarterback-driven system. And I honestly think that LaNorris Sellers may have had a hand in him getting hired. I don't know that for 100% fact, but it does make a lot of sense to me that would be the case. So all indications are he plans on coming back. Now, transfer portal opens at the beginning of January. Don't come back and try to crucify Jackpot if he enters the transfer portal, because this is just what we're hearing as of today on December 11th, 12th. What is it, 11th, 10th? I don't know. 10th, December 10th. That's a good thing. I really, really didn't want to see them have to go to the transfer portal to try to get a quarterback, because, it's just the competition there is just so fierce. That gives your backups, Cutter Woods, and if he chooses to stay here, Aaron Nolan, I say if he chooses to stay here is because, well, he transferred in from Ohio State, and it would only make sense if he didn't get a lot of playing time this year that he would leave here and go somewhere else. I think Cutter Woods is a kid who's here for the long term, and looking at his play last year and the limited amount of snaps that he got, I could see a little bit in this kid. is Cutter Woods. So we'll have to see how that all transpires. Of course, we have Landon Duckworth, 4-star class of 2026, who is also coming in. These are all things that are good signs, that are things that are pointing up for the program, finally. Which, who expects to get any good news after a 4-8 season? Most don't, but it looks like the sun might be shining on the Gamecocks, if for only a brief period of time. In terms of other players, other stuff that I was reading on there from the same connected source, they think that there is a good chance Dylan Stewart comes back to South Carolina in 2026. But he also does not think that defensive back Jalen Kilgore will choose to remain at South Carolina for a fourth season. That would mean testing his waters, or testing the waters, however you want to say that, of the NFL draft, which would be good. He's a pretty solid corner, one of the better ones in the SEC, definitely one of the better ones we've had here at Carolina the past few years. So it's not a position that we can't fill. Looks like everything right now is still safe with Clayton White and the defensive staff, which is a good thing. I didn't think they needed to change any players over there. Didn't think they needed, or any coaches over there. Like the player group that we've got over there, they still need to add some pieces. But I think that unit can be really solid next year after they've had this year of experience. So they'll get someone to take over that spot back to there. Good luck to Jalen Kilgore if he does decide to enter the NFL draft. If they do get Dylan Stewart back, that's huge. That is something that they need to kind of maybe explore the transfer portal for somebody experienced to play opposite him. Of course, you got 4-star Julian Walker who's coming in. That's a good thing too. This was a surprise get for the Gamecocks. So a lot of good stuff going on in Columbia with the football program right now. Hopefully it translates to some wins in the fall. And once again, don't come at me with the, well, I guess you love Shane Beamer now. I guess everything's all right with Shane Beamer now. Some of you mouth breathers out there, you like to come at me with that stuff. There's nothing wrong with trying to be a positive, guys. Well, he's made some changes, which is what he had to do to keep his job. A lot of people, when they get the pressure put on them, and they know that they're solid on the hot seat, and hey, it's either shit or get off the pot right now time, they choose to shit. And we'll see if that shit stinks or if it smells like a rose. We don't know, but I'm hoping he makes it work out. Because if he gets fired, that means we had another horrendous season or another subpar season. If he doesn't get fired, that means things went well. So, hey, I want to see them win games first and foremost. It's not all about me wanting to see Shane Beamer get fired. So don't get it twisted. That's not what I want to see happen. I want to see them do well. At any rate, that's about all I got. Oh, by the way, last night, Clemson, I don't know if anybody saw it, their basketball team, they were playing BYU, who was ranked number 10 in the country. They're playing in New York. I guess they were in Madison Square. They were either in MSG or they were at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. They were in the Jimmy V, I guess the Jimmy V Fight for Cancer tournament, or I guess they just played 2 games. I don't know. Taters were playing number 10 Brigham Young. BYU falls to the Taters at halftime. They're behind 44-22. They're ranked number 10 in the country. Clemson was just absolutely could not miss from 3-point range. I was so damn mad. The game started early. It was out 6:32. When I was so damn mad, when I cut that damn thing off, and I went and laid down because I wasn't going to watch no more of it. I'm like, God almighty. I'm like, how are you ranked number 10 in the country? Well, I don't know exactly what happened in the second half, but the Taters just pissed the bed, shut down their own foot, and they end up losing the ball game on a 3-pointer at the buzzer by BYU. So good job, Clemson. Love to see it. You love to see it. Anyway, that's about all I got to say about that, guys. I will see you all later on. Appreciate you. Peace. And I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Woo!